Hey, I'm Kyle Higgins, writer for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as well as Radiant Black, and you're watching Action Activate.
Here we come! There they go! Evil rise! 'Cause they know we're super soldiers! We got cool clothes! Real smooth! You see our pose! Tension! Energize! Mask off! Time to ride! Combine! Grease ties!
Greetings, I am Gazbot. This is Action Activate. There's a pile of crap behind me, and if that's true, then this must be.
Hey, I'm not a pile of crap. I'm the big dog here to review with
Behind me,
you.
not next to me.
We're here to review Go-Go Loser Ranger once again for all of you fine folks that are joining us. This one, I believe, is episode 7, right?
Episode 7, the Zigzag Road to the Final Exam.
Initial thoughts, what'd you think?
My least favorite episode so far. Doesn't mean it's terrible, but my least favorite so far.
I would say I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I disagree, though. There was definitely a huge revelation in this episode that I really liked, but I think for the exam itself, I liked the last episode better for the exam versus this.
I'm ready for the exam to be done. I'm ready. I don't want to know. And I know there's going to be at least one more episode of it. And hopefully it has some cool flip around reveal thing that changes my mind. But I absolutely liked it last time better. And and here's the thing. It's not terrible. It's not terrible at all. It's that grading on a curve thing.
Yeah.
Every other episode I've been like, wow, this is awesome. This one I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's fine.
I thought it was good, mostly because of the B plot. The A plot wasn't bad, but I like we're gonna go kind of out of order here, by the way, so just be warned. I like how there was a shift in the cadets on like the strong are trying to be with the strong and the underdogs are trying to, realize they need to band together.
Well, because they also realize that if you team up with your color, one of you gets the key. So it makes more sense to team up with different colors. And
Yeah. And also that was a revelation this episode was they're like, oh, we have to get the key. And then the jerk Red, who is a monster for the test, is like, no, idiot, one person gets the key. All the rest of you are scrubs. So,
which was one of those things where like previously they were like, oh, they have to use teamwork to get it. And then it's like, no, you can't use teamwork to get it.
It's like you have to use people to get it, but you don't have to use teamwork specifically.
Right. But we did see D then, like all the losers, like were like, well, we give up, and he's like, what are you kidding me? We're not giving up, because he's still which is so funny because he's such like a jerk. Like I'm gonna destroy everyone. I hate everyone. And he's like, well, teamwork is the answer, like.
Well, I think also it's a thing of like A, he's drinking his own Kool-Aid, and B, he's like, I most certainly can't defeat the 5 of them by myself. So even if you're all losers, it's better than nothing.
I agree. Well, no, I'm saying, even though inside what we know about him, he's not being like a wholesome, hey, teamwork is the answer. But that is still the character he is like portraying. That's what people see.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think one of the things, and again, I don't want to say I don't like, one of the things I find less entertaining is how much he has become this human character. Like it's a disguise, but I like him as the monster.
Yeah.
I like, and he's doing such a good job being this human. I'm worried that like in the next few episodes, like is it going to be more and more of him just taking on this identity and like, oh yeah, he's also a monster. Like I don't want that. I don't want that to be the rest of the show. I'll be very disappointed if that's the rest of the show.
We'll see. I have a feeling it'll get to a point where we think that's going to tip, and then something crazy is going to happen. He's going to be like, yep, sorry, forgot my motivations for a sec. I'm here to murder everyone.
Or at least reveal his identity. Like, you know what I mean? Because the one guy does see his identity and weirdly is just like, okay, I'll just deal with this, I guess.
Because he like half revealed it. Yeah, he's like, hey, you should probably go with me. Yup, we're going with that guy.
Yeah.
I still can't get over how goofy these costumes are the more you look at them.
They're very strange.
With weird like girdles and like, jock straps built in kind of thing. I
may have said this, but I kind of took it as like intentional, like the higher ups, like hazing, like, yeah, wear this weird.
I kept thinking this reminds me of a costume I've seen before, and you know what it is?
What?
Clockwork Orange.
Yes. and I think they had like bondage gear on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it an homage? I mean, good pull. Is it an homage to that? Maybe. Is it supposed to be just weird and the artist just drew it that way, like the way Liefeld draws patches and stuff? Maybe. But I think it's set up to be this very, maybe not alpha male, but alpha, the people on top are better than the people below, and like poop flows down and you're at the bottom, and like a fraternity or something, or the military, where it is like, yeah, you got to wear these things that are uncomfortable and weird, and that's your deal because you're at the bottom.
But even the ones in the colored factions have it just in their respective colors.
It gets better as it goes up. But it is,
Ish.
yeah.
So this part was crazy of her sending a message trying to get D, and then that reveal, I audibly gasped.
Yes, I agree that the B plot is the most interesting part, which goes back to my earlier point of like the B plot is the A plot as far as I'm concerned. The whole Chunin exam part of it, I'm like, I kind of don't care. I mean, I do a little bit, but I know that like whether he wins, loses, gets the key, doesn't get the key, ultimately that doesn't really matter. It's not like he's Naruto really trying to be a ninja. This is all just side stuff. So her story, that was wild.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, for those who haven't seen it, is one of the generals is alive.
Yes.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I had thought that her head was cut off and it was like separated from the body, and she wasn't dead, but kind of incapacitated in a way. But then they show her just like fully formed in the closet, able to roam free. Did I misunderstand, or did they just sort of change that in between?
I think you misunderstood, because I think it's a thing where like even if they're separated, they're dusters, so they can always like reform and stuff.
No, but I thought it was like in an airtight box. Like your head's in this box and your body's in that box. And yeah, you're okay, but you can't like do anything.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think she got out because he was just like, hey, for now, like, go chill. Great intro once again. But yeah, again, we're semi-skipping around. But yeah, that General A is back. B is insane crazy. Yeah. And D, like, pun intended, I actually felt bad that he killed the guy. This guy seemed really cool. He's like, oh, you're a monster. I don't care. That's why I'm not a fighter. Dead.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I kind of thought, because we're used to D, who's sort of got some empathy, that he'd be like, oh, that wasn't necessary or whatever. But like, yeah, he gets killed. And then she sort of says like, oh, why'd you do that or whatever? And he's like, did you not want me to? And she's like, no, that was great. I love it. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then we find out that this guy might be looking for the god, like the other red, the tough guy red.
The Red Keeper.
The red, well, the prospective Red Keeper, the one that's trying to be a red.
Got it. Sorry.
This guy, because he's like, I want to know what, like, tell me about you and like all this stuff. And that's when he talks about the kami god, boss monster, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, again, the lore building in this, I really like how each episode there's a nugget or, in this case, a rock that hits you where it's like, whoa, we are expanding this. That is a cool design.
It is a cool design. And it's creepy, like you said. In other words, like, hi, I want everyone to be happy. Oh, I want explosion of blood. Anyway, I think there should be less conflict too. Like, I don't like this guy.
Yeah. This is one too where I don't know what your thought was, but I'm like, are all the monsters angelic based? Is only this one? What's the deal? Like,
I guess I had that thought. My assumption was that they're not all like that.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but I took it as like, again, comparing it to Power Ranger Sentai, that they're all different types of monsters and bosses or whatever. And this is because even when they did the bosses, it seemed like monsters of the week. And so either this is the head boss or a monster of the week boss, but either way, in all of the versions of that we've seen in all the tokusatsu, there's always a variety, and so
I took this as a strong general, like an Ecliptor or not Void Knight. Void Knight, I think, is more powerful. Goldar, yeah. Go with that.
But I took it as that, but yes, having almost maybe like when they had the emperor or whoever over them, they kept him in check, like this other weird ideas they had. But now it's just like, well, I'll just do what I want. This is what I think,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very weird. It's a very weird. It's a good choice for the one to have survived, as opposed to just like, I'm a big monster, like.
Yeah. For those of you who have read Berserk, this reminds me of one of the big bads in the Holy See arc. But anyways,
This lady is weird.
what do you
blue
think of
ranger.
the time constraints of the test each day?
It's weird. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, and why is it over 3 days? Like the whole test is very. I feel like it's good. It should end up being one of those things at the end where they're like, "Oh, this is what you thought you were doing, but here's what it was really about." And you thought you should like it should be explained. Where like, "Oh, they've misunderstood the whole way it works, and because we're seeing it through their point of view, we misunderstood the way it works." I feel like that's what should happen. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's all these weird interactions. She's like, "Well, you're not trying to get my key anymore, so it's fine." But then she also is like, gives him advice, and it's like all the keepers, like, is it because of their color factions or because of their personalities? Have different, like, some of them are like, "Screw you, you're all going to lose, and I hate you." Others like, "Well, you're not my enemy right now, so I'll help you." And like,
I think it's both, and I think the core of it starts at the faction and then it differentiates based on the person. Because like we saw two blues that were very empathetic. They're like, "I'm not a fighter, I'm just following orders. So as long as you're not actively hurting me, you do whatever you want." And that was same with this, where she's like, "You and I don't have to fight, so best of luck to you."
Right. And then this is him remembering. This is where he gets his strategy because he remembers.
I want that guy to get wrecked so bad.
The red guy?
Yes, I hate him.
Well, he did get wrecked once before, but maybe he'll get wrecked again.
Like I need him to explode.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, here's the revelation of like, oh, you need to work as a team, kind of, sort of, not really. Here's the bandit of thieves. It's funny when they came up with that part of the underdogs versus not. It very much reminded me of Squid Game if you've watched it, where kind of the buff dudes at one point are like, "We're gonna be the strongest," and I'm like, "You're gonna lose, but I appreciate your strategy."
Yeah.
So it definitely, whether on purpose or not, I thought that was a cool little tidbit there.
I agree. And then, but then the underdogs get the key. She basically just gives it to them because whatever. He's like, "Well, I'm gonna go. You want like weirdness? I'll be weird. They'll be weird. This is getting because she just wants chaos, sort of, but she also wants to take them down. But she's sort of in cahoots with them, so she finds some way to just justify giving it to them. But then, of course, the tough people come by and like, "Oh, I'll take it." Oh, this is after she uses her invincible shield. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, they get it. And then before the 30 minutes, the bad squad is like, "I'm literally gonna take it from you, even though I didn't earn it."
And you're it's like, not even a fight. They're just kind of like, "Oh."
Yeah, that part. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. I thought it was a thing where like, if you got it, it's yours. I didn't know there was some take backsies that you could do.
That sets up the next one where they're going to be fighting the other team to get, because now they have no keys and the other team has all of them.
So I guess my question to you is, how many people do you think are going to get murdered next episode?
Yeah, that's a good question.
But from this, not from the monster.
No, I know what you mean. Like actually murdered or just beaten very badly?
Actually murdered. I think at least 2.
I think what I'd like to see, if people are gonna be actually murdered, I could see somebody on the loser team getting killed, maybe by the other red or somebody like that, and D just being like, "How dare you?" And like, even though he doesn't really care, he kind of cares, and that's his team, and he is like a duster, so he's used to like a pack, and then just like going wild and killing whoever killed them. I could see that.
I could see him arm shank somebody.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like somebody kills someone on his team, and then he uses his beast power, his monster power to kill them, but no one sees it,
Yeah.
I could see.
And then it'll be like, "How did you stab him?" It was like, "Oh, I had this knife on me this whole time."
And actually, if the blue, the Afro blue guy gets killed, then his secret's totally safe because he's the only one right now who knows in this group. Yeah. So yeah, I'll agree with 2.
Yeah, I have a feeling next episode there's going to be at least one death, and then they're going to be like, "See, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Welcome to the club."
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to go. But when he crosses paths with that general, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I do think whatever, level of monster D is, he definitely is like semi-reasonable, semi-empathic, like he's sort of like, this is his station in life. And so he has a certain amount of duty and feels it. But like, clearly he's not just some mindless monster. He's like, "Well, let's go about this right way." And like, "Well, we're working together, so I'm not going to kill you." So I could see him being like, what, like, again, the other henchmen, the other, what do they call them? Duster.
Duster.
The other Duster, who's like more of like a zealot, like my lord, that like, oh good, you killed him. I could see D if he was there being like, what? You didn't have to. Why would you do that? You know, and I could see him seeing the monster and being the boss and being happy at first, and then seeing how they operate and being like, oh, you're a real monster. I'm just kind of a jerk. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I think either way, again, this episode was good. We don't want to take away from it. I'm getting deja vu of when we reviewed SPD, where there was like 1 or 2 episodes where like, these ones were the worst, but they're still better than most kind of thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said. I'm grading on a curve. This is my least favorite episode of the show so far, but I like this show a lot. So, you know, it's still better, you know, and I want to see where it's going. Like a lot of the negative spin, if you want to even call it that, I'm putting on this is like, oh, where are we going with this? Because previously there's a lot of like, wow, I didn't know where we're going. What's this? Holy cow. And now it sort of seems like we're getting on a path, and it's a path I don't want to get on.
Yeah.
But we might not be. We're only 2 episodes in, you know, so like we'll see what happens, you know, like next episode might resolve all this.
Like for all you know, like it seems like a path, but really it's just a short bridge, and now we're at the new thing on episode 9.
If the next episode is the end of these tests and we go off in a wholly different direction, great. But if it's like, okay, now the next thing you have to do in this academy, I don't want to see him in the academy. I don't want to watch a show about someone in this academy. That is not what I want to watch. And I'm worried that's what it's going to turn into.
So here's my question to you, and for anybody watching at home, put your answer in the comments as well. As we continue through season 1 of this, who knows when season 2 is going to come out? Mm-hmm. Does the story entice you so much that you kind of want to read it in between, or you're just going to stick to watching it?
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to wait to answer that by the end. Well, 2 things will depend on that. 1 is waiting to the end of season 1 and see how I feel.
Yep.
And number 2, I've deliberately not looked at any of the manga because I don't want to spoil anything for myself, even just like a cover image might. So I don't know what the art looks like at all. And I'm a big sucker for art. So if I look at the art in the manga and it looks good, I'll be more tempted. If I look and it's not, I won't even say bad, but not my taste, then I'll be less interested for that reason.
Yeah. That's fair.
What about you?
For me, I've been on kind of a manga kick lately, so I do want to read it. The fact that you can't read it digitally super easily legally has deterred me, but
do they have
also
English translations available in print?
Yes.
Okay, then that's fine.
But yeah, it's just a commitment physically to that. But the other thing is, if one of us reads it and we continue to review it, it's like, what do you think of this episode? It's like, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do.
I'll also say this. I'm not necessarily committing to reviewing season 2, even if we watch it. Because just frankly speaking to the viewers out there, these videos don't get a lot of views. Now, we don't do this all for the views. Like, we're not a big channel anyway. But like the last, let's say 5 videos went up. It was like we did Rail Riders, the Power Rangers, and that did great. It was like close to 1,000 views. And I put up from San Diego Comic-Con, a Godzilla booth tour, and that did like 1,200 views. And then these do like 30, 40. So I'm enjoying this, and it was a fun experiment. But if the numbers don't go up, I don't know that we'll do season 2. We might do another anime. We might do another show.
Or we could do like a video of, we watched all season 2. Here's a thought dump.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, after this, we're going to go back to Mystic Force.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not committing to doing season 2 is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
But if you think that's crazy and we absolutely have to do season 2, or we'll fine, but do this anime or this other show, then let us know. And, we'll take that into consideration.
Yeah. But until then, I am the big dog.
Oh, that's who you are? Who am me?
I think you're Go-Go Gazbot review, or you are Go-Go Gazbot, one of the 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I doubled up, didn't I?
And
to
the power. See y'all later.
I'm going to make us go to the end credits. You know what
You muted yourself again.
No.
Now you didn't.
Oh, that's weird. You know what I have been considering reading that is not a comic? Is a book called John Dies at the End. Have you heard of this?
Oh, I have. Yeah, it's a movie, right?
Yes. And I had heard about it for a while back at Elusive Comics. People talked about it. I don't know if somebody knew. Like, it was just a thing people talked about all the time.
Yeah.
And the other night, for whatever reason, I know why. Because the author I follow on TikTok, and like I didn't even realize that's who it was. He's just like a guy that fell into my feed, and I watch a lot of his videos. I'm like, wait, is he an author? And then I was like, oh, he wrote John Dies at the End. That's that. So I watched the movie. with not much expectation. I liked it. I'm not saying I recommend it necessarily. It's a weird movie. Some of the CGI is not very good. But it was directed by Don Coscarelli, who's a horror director who did Phantasm and he did Boba Hotep. I'm like, oh, I like his movies. So I watched it and it feels like one of his movies, a little bit lower budget.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, how much of this is the book and how much of it is the director who rewrote it? And then I found out that there are 2 more books in the series. And having watched the movie, I'm like, that's the end. Like there's more? This is So I'm thinking about going and, probably audiobook, getting that first book and seeing what I think of that.
That is quite a noble side quest. What I will say is if you are going to do an audiobook, you can use Hoopla, which offers free audiobooks up to 6 a month.
What?
Through your local library. It's an app called Hoopla.
Oh, you know what's funny is I haven't had a library card in decades, and I literally just applied for one right before this. So
there you go.
Hoopla.
The more you know.
I love it. Then I'm definitely doing it. Then I'll do it as soon as I get my card. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye, everybody. Hoopla. Hoopla.